Hey guys, what's up? Alex here, and today we are back with another F1 2013 gameplay video. Here we are in the Williams FW14B here in Silverstone. Now I'm going to talk through some of the cool features of F1 2013 in this episode and talk about the classic cars mostly because that is probably what everyone's here to watch. Now I'm just setting up some F1 2013 here using a classic car around a modern track, and yes, you can do that. Now that's a big thing that I asked on the day, whether you could drive the old cars on the new tracks, and that was a resounding yes, because I could do it on the day. But let's talk about the cars that you get in F1 2013 Classic Edition. You have classic cars from the 80s and 90s from Williams, Lotus and Ferrari, so some really iconic classic cars in there that you can have and drive. You can drive them around some of the classic circuits as well. This is a great thing, and I didn't expect this. I mean, I kind of expected classic cars, but I didn't expect some of the old classic racetracks. The classic tracks that you will get in the Classic Edition are Jerez, Brands Hatch, Imola and Estoril, which all held host to Grand Prix back in the 80s and 90s, and I can't wait to play these cars on one of those classic tracks. We had Jerez on the day, and I probably will get some of that gameplay up shortly, and really cool stuff, and I can't wait to play on those classic tracks. And you can also drive the new cars on the old track. Now that is going to be absolutely crazy. That means you can drive a modern Formula 1 car around Brands Hatch. Now obviously I go to Brands Hatch quite a lot, and I don't think a Formula 1 car will get down around there really easily, so it's going to be interesting to see how a Formula 1 car reacts around there. But that is definitely one of the first things I'm going to be doing when I get the game, is driving a modern Formula 1 car around Brands Hatch. But the gameplay in the background is a Williams at the modern Silverstone, not the old Silverstone, the modern Silverstone, and it's really cool because you can compare your lap times between the new cars and also the old cars. Now the Ferrari time was set by, I don't know who it was, but I managed to beat it in this old car, so obviously there is some sort of performance difference, but I did spend quite a lot of time on these classic cars, so I'm getting used to them. And it's some really cool stuff. There is a multiple amount of classic cars in this game. There'll be 11 classic cars included in the Classic Edition, and they'll also be available through DLC after the game is released. But any hardcore F1 fan will definitely be buying the Classic Edition because it's going to include some great stuff. And you're also going to be able to drive these classic cars online in guest classic specific lobbies, and that is going to be so fun. I was talking to Interbarry about this, and it's going to be absolutely crazy driving these old cars around Monaco, and it's also going to be a blast because that's going to provide some very crazy races online. You can see there a fail on my part. I drove into the pit wall, and one thing that they did say about this, I think it might be caught in the interview that you might see very shortly, is that sadly they haven't been able to sort of add damage to these classic cars because obviously we haven't really got any, modern day experience of how these cars would crash, and obviously the owners of these cars would not like seeing their cars crash whatsoever. But I was talking to Luke Spring about it, and they spent a lot of time going out and getting the classic car sounds, because obviously these classic cars aren't being owned mostly by the original teams. They're owned by very rich people that have got the cars to go around finding the cars, even if after they got the licensing and all that. So really cool stuff there. And I don't know whether you've noticed this, guys, but look at the lap counter and go and compare that to the gameplay I put up earlier. Now, what they've done is something very cool. Now, this is a 1990s car, so what they've done is the HUD is sort of replica of what you'd have seen in the TVs in the 90s. Now, in the 80s, they've also got this sort of sepia look to the screen when you're racing in the 80s cars, and obviously in modern it looks high definition and looks as professional as it does nowadays on TV. But what they've done is they've made the HUD look like the TV did back in those eras, which is so cool. I didn't actually notice it until Lee pointed it out to me whilst I was playing the game or watching someone else play the game, and he pointed it out to me that they had slightly different sort of tones to their colours, which was really quite cool. And this is the final lap I'm going to show you, lap 3, and this is when I finally get to beat that Ferrari, and I've had some trouble trying to keep up with it, but I finally did on this final lap. But it was really cool testing myself against the fast car, and obviously in the old car. I assume if I drove the fast car I'd probably be faster than I was in the old car, but some some really cool stuff, and I'll probably show you some gameplay. Probably the first experience I had of F1 2013 was I can't remember. I think it was a Williams round Jerez, and it was in manual, so I was driving half the track in 6th gear. It took my brain a little bit of time to realise that I was being stupid and driving around in 6th gear. But I'll probably put that up soon because it was quite hilarious about how much I was failing on that point. But really cool stuff, guys. I really advise you get the classic edition of F1 2013, and really cool stuff going to be coming to the game. I assume it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's definitely going to be worth it. You're going to get your time's worth out of these classic cars because they are absolutely amazing to drive. It's quite a lot of wheel spin when you're in the low gears, but that is realistic because if you've watched any classic videos on YouTube of these cars going around the track, you realise they slip out of traction every 10 seconds, so that's really awesome to see. Really great to have the classic cars in the game. And if there's anything you want me to talk about in these videos, guys, let me know in the comment section because I'll get that, you know, notified, and I'll get a video up as soon as possible. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a video very shortly, hopefully in about an hour's time, for more F1 2013 exclusive gameplay up on Alex the Afro. So here we are, around the final corner, just about got enough of a gap over the Ferrari. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. It's been Alex, and I'm out here. Goodbye.